if you can hear some noise in the background of this video, that's the air conditioner. We are currently under a national heat advisory, just because there's a lot of heat going on, because at the time I'm recording this, it's June. Happy Pride Month, by the way, retroactively, because it'll be the future. Well, the present, this is the past. That's how time works. You are in my future, but I am in your past. This is Chapter 10. Chapter 10 is a very big map. It is a turning point for the run for a number of reasons. The first is we are recruiting Minerva. You can see her over there flying as a red unit. She is our hard carry, and so, anytime that, in any 0% growth run, there's always a turning point where you recruit your hard carry. Think in Fire Emblem 9, when I recruited Tanith, for example. Think in Vision Quest, when I recruited Honkulani. You might notice a pattern is that all of these people are flyers. I guess it doesn't always have to be that. Like, my hard carry for not Vision Quest, Call of the Armor wasn't a flyer. I forget who it was. Oh, it was the Dark Mage. The Dark Mage guy. So, it's usually a flyer, though. Flyers are very good. Vanilla games, it's almost always a flyer. So that's the first reason that this is, like, sort of a turning point chapter. But the side objectives of this chapter also kind of present a big switch in the way the run works. I guess Maria's not really a side objective. She's my second warp skipper, though. Because of the way trading mechanics work in Fire Emblem 1, you kind of need to devote specific units to be warpers, and I would rather the non-combat ones be warpers. Because, like, you can't trade. You can trade, but you only can give, you can't take. So you functionally can't really trade warp staffs. So we have a second warper, which further enables degenerate warp skips. We are also about to get our first promotion item. This means that Nabarl can promote into hero. The funny thing about this promotion item in vanilla is very often it results in 0 stat gains, and I mean literally 0, because hero doesn't have any more movement than Merc. So all it does is brings you up to Merc bases, but Nabarl and Ogma often, on average, just reach hero bases by the time they reach level 10. I guess Rad and Caesar probably don't hit those bases because their growths are pretty shit, and their bases are even more shit. But otherwise, like, there's not, like... This is a weird promotion item in that it's basically just like an anti-getting stat screwed RNG item. Also, shoutouts to bows shooting down wyverns. If you haven't already seen it, I made a video about bows, and I talked about how they're useful in Fire Emblem 1, and it's for this very reason. Like, these wyverns are really difficult for all of my units to fight. Like, obviously, 0 growth, they're weaker than they normally would be, but it's still, like, a thing. It's still, like, it's nice that, like, I've deployed early game archers and hunters and bowcabs just for this situation. But there's a second super special thing about getting our first promotion item. And that is, like I alluded to earlier in the run, this is not a glitchless playthrough. This is a glitched playthrough. We will be using the Manikeep Infinite Defense glitch, which I typically account for in tiering Bantu. I do think it helps him quite a lot, but I also think he's, like, pretty good without it. But basically how it works is if a Manikeep, so that includes Tiki or Bantu, uses a promotion item, they will gain their Dragonstone bonuses, which for Bantu is just defense. I think Tiki has something else, but defense is the most relevant one. But they'll gain their promotion bonuses, or the Dragonstone bonuses, but it will say promotion failed, and you'll get to keep the promotion item. So basically, you can spam that until you have functionally infinite defense. And the AI is actually smart enough not to attack if you have high enough defense that they will not do any damage. The AI is not smart enough to know necessarily what high enough defense is. So typically they treat capped defense as if they're dealing 0 damage, even though sometimes that's not the case, especially when it comes to resistance. because the resistance cap in this game is 7. And if you have 7 resistance, there are mages that can still deal damage to you that will ignore you. But the point is that by getting Bantu infinite defense, and we will later get him infinite resistance, but even just infinite defense is a huge game changer. If there is a group of physical enemies and a 1 tile wide choke point like this one Harden is currently in, we can just put Bantu on the 1 tile wide and enemies will refuse to attack him. It's like having an infinite light ruin. The light ruin is kind of a busted item that GBA doesn't really give a chance to shine because the units are so strong, right? But I've found I'm off camera doing Fire Emblem 7 0% growths. I know, EO Fire Emblem 7. But I found that the light ruin is actually quite useful there for the various defense maps when your units suck ass. Anyway, goodbye. That hunter is dead. I think was that Gordon actually? It was either Gordon or Castor. One of them died. Rip and Pip. Comment below if you know. It's going too fast for me to keep up. I know that's Navarro right there. This is on 3 times speed, by the way. Previous episodes had been 2 times speed, but this was an hour long, this map. And I didn't want that. So, like, it might be a little bit hectic to see, like, the exact moves, but don't worry, baby girl, I got you. I'll walk you through it. We are moving people to take advantage of this corridor. We don't have infinite defense on Bantu yet, but he's still pretty bulky. We're gonna block this corridor. Minerva is actually non-aggressive, because Maria is, like, captive. But we're gonna block this corridor, basically use this corridor as just, like, protecting everyone. Have Marth slowly make his way to recruit Maria so we can recruit Minerva. We boxed in the archers, by the way. I think that was a silver bow we just got. It went a little bit too fast for me. Look, you're not watching Fire Emblem 1 0% growths because you want an exact breakdown of the strategies. Or if you did, you would watch someone else's 0% growths run. That's a trick question, because 0% growths, Fire Emblem 1, I'm the only person who's, you know, unhinged enough to do that. But yeah, you don't really need a full exact breakdown. Like, you know what's going on. We're recruiting Minerva. We're slowly moving over there. And we're clogging the choke point. We've got Doga and Roger to be our Doga-Roger archetypes. And then we've also got Bantu, who has high defense. And again, Minerva's not aggressive, so it's just this Pegasus Knight. Minerva's not going to move because she doesn't see a path to Marth. She charges towards Marth at all times. She doesn't attack him, but she won't initiate the recruitment conversation until you get Maria. Oftentimes in vanilla, this is a map that I'll just warp Marth to Maria with a door key. Not because, like, I think it's hard to get Marth to Maria. Like, you'll notice that I had no difficulty. Like, I lost a shitty archer, boo-hoo. But it's more just, like, a time saver. I find it annoying walking all the way over here. But you might have noticed outside that front door, at that top door, there is a hero. That is the hero who has the hero crest. And the hero crest hero is our key to Bantu's infinite defense and our key to Navarro promoting. I went over this in the arena chapter, but in case for some reason you decided you just want to watch this chapter, hi, welcome. This is the most unhinged playthrough I've ever done. Actually, that's probably not even true. I forgot Maria recruited herself. Fun Fire Emblem 1 fact. Maria recruits herself. Now you know. But this probably isn't even my most unhinged playthrough because I did Lin mode with Modern Mind. And Lin mode was pretty wacky. Lin mode, I got a little bit wacky, I think that was the first playthrough where, like, I'd sort of played things safe in terms of trying to avoid talking about the various controversial aspects of Fire Emblem YouTube, specifically in that the Fire Emblem community, just like 2 of its biggest creators are just like horrible. I mean, not just 2, but the 2 that come to mind are kind of like just horrible human beings, racist, sexist, all that fun stuff. One of them is a rapist. There's actually 2 Fire Emblem rapists. There's 3 terrible creators that are popular. There's 2 rapists that are just, like, really normalized within the community. I know, like, some people have decided that they no longer tolerate Mangs. Although, like, I have my issues with the portrayal of it as, like, he was perfectly fine when he was just being a white supremacist, but then when he decided to rape someone, like, that's the line. And, like, yeah, I'm a victim of sexual assault. I'm not going to say that rape is not bad. Obviously, rape is bad. But I think that people too quickly hand-wave, like, oh, well, you know, the white supremacy is not a big deal, which he kind of is, I think. But then, like, the community is not even consistent on kicking out rapists because, like, Chaz Aria LLCs still the people who supposedly disown Mangs specifically for the rape stuff are perfectly fine with him. But that's a rant. That's probably more, like, open about this sort of shit than I have been in other playthroughs as well, even. I don't know. I don't want to fucking turn this into a drama video, so let's focus on Fire Emblem 1. And the Shadow Dragon and the new Mystery of the Light. You'll notice that Bantu is still taking very little damage from, I mean, I say little. Zero is little, right? Zero is very little. The AI is not attacking him. Fire Emblem 1 AI Kaga did it first, right? Like, that's pretty smart. Right now I'm just sort of rearranging, figuring out how I want to fight this hero, while at the same time having Minerva just eat every stat booster that I have. I gave her an Angel Robe, which, funny enough, is like the least impactful one, because Fire Emblem 1 stat boosters actually give a huge amount of stats. It's kind of ridiculous. But Angel Robe is the one where, like, normally they give huge stats, because HP is, I think HP is the least impactful stat to get, like, a single point in. Anyway, it's time to kill this guy. Navarro got the hero crest. It's actually funny, it, like, landed in his inventory. I think my initial plan was to have him use it, but then I remembered, oh, I do have to bring that to Bantu. So I just sort of do the item shuffle here, which, like, the number one skill in Fire Emblem 1 is the item shuffle, being able to get items between people and to who you want and stuff. Like, inventory management is, I think, the biggest test of Fire Emblem 1. God, Bantu is so... This is before you use the glitch. Like, I think people sleep on non-glitched Bantu. Obviously, glitched Bantu is, like, just a meta-warping character. Like, easily top 5 glitched Bantu. It's funny because, like, the infinite defense guy isn't even the best unit in the game. Like, that's Marth. Or if you want a spicy take, it's Minerva. I think Marth and Minerva are much closer than people say. But at the same time, like, Marth and Minerva, like, I think Marth is better. But I think Marth and Minerva are very, very close. That's my spite. I was making a Fire Emblem 1 tier list, and I scrapped it. And I'm starting a new one, but it's because on the original one, the reason I scrapped it is in the original one, I made a couple of factual errors. I said that all the axe people could use all axes for base, but that's not actually true. There are a couple of axe people who I believe can't use the Devil axe, if I remember correctly. But they can all use the other available axes at base. So, like, I included some factual errors, and I initially was just going to include a correction, but I decided, like, I wasn't really happy with the rest of the tier list enough to... Like, if I'm happy with everything but there is one factual error, I will just include a correction. Like a recorded and audio one, ideally. If it's already published, then I'll put one in, like, the comments or descriptions, but I don't think that's actually come up. I think it came up in, like, one tier list that I did, and I just, like, pinned something and updated the description. I don't even remember. I might be gaslamping that. But the real reason that I wanted to, like, the main reason that I wanted to re-record it is during the Mirth analysis, I talked about him being worse than Minerva, and I no longer believe that to be the case. I initially started it, very shortly after the 0% Growth playthrough editing process I restarted, because I recorded episodes 1 through 9 and also 11 3 years ago. I guess a little bit peek behind the curtain. I said 3 years ago, now it's 2024. That was 2021. Yeah, 3 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago. Fuck, I can't remember. I'm too old. Either way, it was when I was living in North Carolina, which I no longer am. If anyone remembers when I made my Sacred Stones Draft Iron Man, when I streamed that, that was the same time that I was recording the beginning of this post commentary. That was when I played this playthrough. I played it at work, because previously I had a job. I worked in mental health. But it was like, because of my disability, I was no longer able to do the daytime portion of that work, so I was night staff. And as it turns out, most people sleep at night. I don't. It's 2 in the fucking morning, 2:45 in the morning. God, healthy sleep schedule does not exist. It's a lie sold to you by the liberal media. Anyway, the point that I'm making is this has been a Let's Play very long in the works. You might have noticed a difference in my commentary style between this episode and the previous episodes, and that is, again, because, like I say, I recorded episodes 1 through 9 and 11's post-commentary around the time that I did the Sacred Stones Draft Iron Man. And you might remember there was a gap, like a month gap in the middle of the Draft Iron Man, because I had moved. I moved in with, at the time, my girlfriend, now my wife, moved all the way across the country. I'm no longer in North Carolina. I'm in a northern state that will not be named. I'm definitely safer. Like, my next door neighbors are no longer threatening me with guns. They did call the cops on us for not mowing our lawn, so I had to adjust to, like, I dealt with southern BS, and now I'm adjusting to dealing with northern BS. Such as the fact that apparently here, it's actually illegal to have your lawn at a certain length. To be fair, like, it was pretty fucking out of hand. It was really tall. It was overdue, but, like, I don't know. Come knock on the door. Be neighborly. Maybe it's the southerner in me, which I'm not even from the South. I was born in fucking Boston, Massachusetts. But I lived in the South for, like, over a decade. And I think that aspect of me is why I'm like, hey, neighbor, why don't you just knock on the door? Like, if it bothers you so much that our grass was too tall, like, I get it. It was. I will fully say, like, it was way too tall. Do not call the police over a lawn dispute. That's absurd. Just knock on my door, be like, hey, I'm concerned. Your grass is too long. It's gonna, like, attract ticks and fleas and stuff. It's bad for our mailman. Like, that's another thing, is, like, I was being inconsiderate by not mowing the lawn, because, like, my wife works full-time, and, like, I consider YouTube a full-time job. I put more than fucking 8 hours a day into this shit. It's better considered a full-time job, but yeah, it's, anyway, moral of the story is, if you live in the north, you should mow your lawn, or else your neighbors will call your cops on you. I hope this was insightful and fun. Bye!